Well, hello everyone. Welcome to week 4 of your Management 360 class. I'm going to go run through some things and then share an Excel spreadsheet that I think you will find helpful to you. So let's get right to it. So our agenda for today is I'm going to break down the grades, and then we'll go into Yellow Dig, talk a little bit about assignments that you have, and then the topics we've covered over the last 4 weeks. So just a reminder, the course is broken down as follows. All your assignments are worth 50% of your grade. Your learn-ins are worth 30% of your grade, and your Yellow Dig is worth 20% of your grade. So the purpose of me showing this to you is if you're finding yourself falling behind, that you have a means to prioritize your time and your work. You know, we all have a finite amount of time, or we all have the same amount of time, right? We all have 168 hours in a week. And based on the different commitments we have in our lives, we have different prioritizations of those hours. And I totally understand everyone's working a busy life. You guys definitely are with taking 2 classes. So I'll share with you actually a spreadsheet that you can use to estimate your grade based on these 3 categories. And what that will allow you to do is, if you have a goal of earning a certain grade, that you can predict based on what grade you get, what grade you'll get in the class at the end. So I'll share that at the end, show you how to use it. Pretty easy calculator to use. But remember, it's not all about getting a grade. It's more important that you get an education. But of course, grades are part of the evaluation of what you learn, so you can make that connection that way. All right, let's jump into how Yellow Dig is graded. Just want to cover this to make sure everyone's on the same page. So there are 2 grading points in the course. First one happens after this Sunday. So I'll take all the points you've earned for weeks 1 through 4, and I'll give you a max of 100 points. So if you've earned over 100 points during those 4 weeks, the max that you can get is 100 points. But don't worry, you can use those points towards weeks 5 through 8 if you fall short. So the max you can get in any 4 weeks is 100 points. But you can apply those extra points that you earn to the next 4 weeks. But you can never get over 200 points in the course. So let me give you a quick scenario. So let's say in weeks 1 through 4, you get 110 points. All put in the grade book, you got 100 points. And then let's say weeks 5 through 8, you get 90 points. Then I'll apply those 10 points from the first 4 weeks, and then you'll receive 100 points for that grading period, so you get the total max. Hey, William, how's it going?
Pretty good.
Awesome. So sorry, I was just going through some different things. So just to rehash, I was going over how Yellow Dig was being graded. So you guys have a total of 200 points you can get in the course for Yellow Dig, but it's broken up by the midway point. So after Sunday, I'll go in and, depending on how many points you earn, so let's say you've earned 95 points in weeks 1 through 4, I'll put that grade in, but you still can have the ability to get the full 200 points, because in weeks 5 through 8, you can get 105 points. So the way that will work is you get 95 points the first grading period, you get that 105 the next grading period, and then I'll take those 5 points and apply them to the first 4 weeks. So in the grade book, it will look like 100 and 100. Does that make sense?
Yep.
All right, good deal. So for any of you out there, if you're falling behind the grade mark that you want to hit, just plan for the next 4 weeks, you can get a total of 35 per week. So just plan accordingly, and then you'll get all the points that you want. Okay, so some ways to get involved in Yellow Dig. Then we talked about this to share something that you've learned. Something you also could do, which could be fun, is share a job posting related to HR. That could be a fun way to get a conversation going, or pose an interesting question or an interesting scenario that you might have faced in work. Maybe something to deal with sexual harassment or something of that nature. Whatever you think might be a fun conversation to start. But the last point, just make sure it's a two-way conversation. It's not just you talking. Just imagine this: you call up your friend, you're talking to him on the phone, and then you're saying everything you want to say, and then you hang up. Not much of a conversation, right? So just make sure that you're making it a two-way conversation. Any thoughts on that, William?
Or you can post about your learning in it.
Oh yeah. Anything from the course, or anything you think might be interesting in the course. Great point. Or maybe you're having a hard time with one of the learners. Say, hey, it's hard. This chapter is giving me a tough time. Any pointers? You can ask for help that way. Cool. Good thought, William. All right, let's keep rolling here. So what's left in the course? You actually have 3 main assignments left. So you've already done a quarter of it with assignment 1. So assignment 2 is due not this Sunday, but next Sunday. And then assignment 3 is the following Sunday. Again, those are just continuation of assignment 1. And then the final presentation, we've already talked about this. You have the option of, in our very last class, giving up a live presentation, or if you want to do the recording of it, is just do the next day on the 8th. And what's kind of fun about our course is the last week, so all of that will be finished by week 7, and week 8 is kind of like a freebie week for you guys, just to get caught up with anything that you need, button any loose ends or type any loose ends, and then really you can start digging into your next course if you have everything finished in this course. So any questions, William, on the assignments?
None that I have right now.
Yeah, no, pretty straightforward. So I'll get you guys grades and feedback this week. What's great about this format is that you can then update any feedback or apply any feedback into, or rework it into what you've done already, and then that will give you the ability to get more points if you didn't get to the point total that you wanted the first go around. All righty. Okay. So some of the topics we've covered, weeks 1 through 4, we just introduced you to human resources, and then kind of went over the legal environment. Last week, you got to look at recruiting and placement. How do you go find the people that you want for your company? And then week 4, once you find those people, how do you train them? So, William, in your own experience, what in the jobs that you've gotten, what was the recruiting like?
Well, there was one where I was a customer service representative, and we were taking bill payments over the phone, and we had like 8 weeks of training or so, which started in a classroom and then went to doing a couple of weeks on the computer, and then we actually got moved to our actual teams where we actually started doing it. So it was a little learning curve.
Yeah.
Because it's different from what they're telling you in the classroom to actually get into the last 2 weeks on the computer, and then actually getting moved to the team to actually do the situations and learn more into the systems.
That's interesting. So how much different was it than like what the formal education was in the classroom?
it was it wasn't that hard, but if you still had questions, you still had your supervisor there on your team that would help you do it.
Gotcha. That's really interesting that the training didn't necessarily apply to what you would be doing. That really reminds me. So as a real estate agent here in Arizona, we have 90 hours of classwork that we have to go through before you can test for your license, and hardly anything that's taught in the school applies to what you do as a real estate agent. It's pretty absurd. Like there's hardly, maybe we had like a little bit learning about the contracts and stuff, but everything else was just, history of real estate type of stuff. It's pretty disjointed there, the education you receive versus what you're actually going to be doing in the field, which I think is a disservice to the real estate agents, because hey, if you want to be good at it, well, that's why you go to school, right? So yeah, very,
Yeah.
very, very interesting.
Yeah, because later on we had to actually go back to class again to learn a whole new system, because they changed systems and upgraded stuff too. So, and had to learn a whole new system.
Well,
which was another learning curve.
It's really interesting, because you hear a lot about like companies wanting to innovate and change things up, but you have to take into account that change management that's going to have to occur within a company, right? Like, did you guys have much resistance to going to a new system?
No, there was after I got over to the new system, we still had some teams in the building on the old system, and some of the newer people on the newer systems after would get off. The older systems that we were trained on first were still open a couple hours after the people that got trained on the newer systems got off, and some of us were asked to stay over to where we could help with that newer system for the people that were on the older system that still had phones. And I was one of them that actually had access to both systems still, so I could take care of both sides at once, which was kind of a little fun trying to juggle both sides.
Yeah.
Because I would actually log into the old system to help the old system out, because they were falling behind in queue because there were so many calls. But that way they could also have their phone, when they got transferred over to the new system, active still. So
gotcha.
I was having to juggle both sides of it to help them out.
There you go. You were part of the training there, huh?
Well, I stayed logged into the newer system that I was trained on, plus I had the older system. So I was trying to answer calls for the older system, and then if anybody on the older system had people that had phones on the newer system, they were given my direct inside line to where they could call over to me, and I could take care of it on the newer system to where the customer actually got their phone back activated.
Oh, gotcha.
And made payments over there.
Were you not necessarily, so you weren't helping train the old people, you were just bridging the gap between the old and the new?
Yeah, basically, until they got rid of all the old system and everybody got switched over to the new system.
Gotcha.
Which was kind of fun.
Well, I mean, that's something to think about too, is that as you start new training, how are you going to implement it? Are you going to do like one like huge sweep, like, but it sounds like your company just kind of did it in part, right? Did switch some of you guys over, and then like some of the legacy group took over after a while?
Yeah, because it took a while to get retrained in the new system, because they were taking like 2-3 weeks to train in the new system, and then we had to learn the whole new system of how to get logged in and everything.
Yeah. Well, and that makes sense to do, like a sequence switch over, because just think of it, they tried to switch over everyone at once. That would have been chaos for your company, right? They probably had a lot of business or upset customers.
Yeah, it was, because when I was doing it, we were there was it was because the company that I was doing it for was actually taking bill payments for AT&T,
Oh, okay.
and we were blue side at first when I first joined, and then there went to another side, which the computer systems were totally different than the blue side, and a lot more systems
Gotcha.
than they were used to. So,
So, quick question: Were you paid when you were going through all this training?
yeah,
Okay, cool.
it was all paid training, everything, and you were even able to. They were making it to where every 40 hours that you got paid, time off. So if you wanted to take a couple of days off, you would put your paid time leave in, and it would be like you were there and you got paid for it, even though you weren't there at work.
Yeah, nice. So yeah, definitely something to consider when you're developing a training program is like, okay, am I going to pay? Am I going to force people to do it? Is it going to be voluntary? Of course you want people to go through all the training, but you got to think of like what incentives you're going to give them to do it. So that's nice that they paid you.
Yeah, because from day one of training all the way through, you got paid. And every so often, I think it was like every 90 days or something like that, you got a raise or something like that,
Oh,
was
cool.
the first part of it. And then I think after a year, you get another raise and all that.
Oh, gotcha.
So it wasn't that bad.
Cool. Well, having gone through halfway through the course, do you have any questions on any of the content that you've went through in the Learn It's?
No?
Yeah, cool. Everything pretty straightforward.
Yeah, because that was like yesterday. Me and my wife were out at Walmart, and one of the people in one of the departments were saying that they never got trained on the cash registers,
Oh,
which was kind of weird. I don't know why, but they didn't. And one of the other people were telling one of the newer ones that you'll learn as you go. And then someone else was saying that you could probably request time on them up front to learn how the system works.
yeah, that's it. That's interesting that a company as big as Walmart doesn't have. I would think they have formal training, but they might have like the legal training that you learned about in week 2. Like I had to go through that for Bryan University. Like the sexual harassment and the FERPA and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, because I know some companies, when they're having computer systems as your cash register and it has a lot more features, if you don't get specifically trained, you could mess them up real bad.
Yeah, so the company you work for saw the value in training you. Like it would have been probably. I'm curious. Maybe they tried not to train people at the beginning, and then maybe had some bad results, or maybe not. They just knew going in it's a better idea to train instead of let people learn on their own.
Well, would rather be trained on it to where I know what I was doing instead of actually making the system crash or accidentally messing the system up, and then they have to come in and be out of pocket a whole bunch of money just to get the system back up and running.
Yeah. Well, I think there is some value to learning on the job, but I would say it would be nice to do it in a safe environment. So like maybe they let you play on the phone system before you're actually like in a test environment. So our company uses a software platform that was developed in house, but you can play in it in a test environment, so you're not really breaking anything if you end up
Yeah.
breaking something.
Well, see, some of the class time that we did when I was a representative over the phone was we'd go and sit with a couple of, or with the class that was ahead of us that already was in there like last couple of weeks before they actually moved to their team. We could actually go sit with them and they could show us how to answer the call and work part of the systems before we actually moved over to their section and started doing it ourselves too. So,
Oh, cool. Yeah,
and then
I think that peer-to-peer training is definitely helpful.
and then what we even sometimes went up to the main floor and sat with some people that were actually already up on the main floors answering calls, doing stuff like that too. So,
Cool. Well, it seems like their training program was pretty well set up.
yeah, it was, and it was pretty nice.
Cool. Well, that's cool that you have that experience now that then you can apply it, like in your own vet business. When you get ready to do that, you can really kind of think through, how do I want to train these people? Very cool. All righty. Any other thoughts before we move on?
Nope.
All right. Let's do something real fun real quick. Pull up I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and then I'm going to go to LinkedIn and find an HR job. How about you go to Indeed.com and try to find an HR job real quick, and let's compare what you found. Oops. So I'm going to stop sharing real quick here. Because in the end, right, you guys want to get a job.
Okay. Oh wow, there's like a lot of different HR ones there on
Okay,
Indeed.
pick one.
Because there's like HR manager, HR assistant, HR generalist, contractor, director, business partner, specialist, analyst, recruiter, consultant.
Nice. So pick one that interests you, and then let's. For some reason I don't have my LinkedIn. Like, I never remember my passwords. I just save them all, and then.
Well, see, that's why I use Google, because when I first log in, it'll ask, after that it asks to save the password, and I've got it all saved. So.
Well, I do that. I typically use Firefox.
Well, I think Firefox does it too.
Yeah, I think it's.
If you've got the feature turned on.
Well, yeah, I think it's saved in my Firefox, but I was on Chrome, so I don't. Usually not in Chrome.
You could pull your information from Firefox over into Chrome in the settings. Because I've done that before when I've had Firefox.
Nice. Okay, here we go. I'm searching HR generalist. Let's go in my area. Ooh, this one seems interesting. For the state of Arizona, working for the government. All right, so let me go back. Actually, you want to share yours first?
I'm still kind of looking here.
All right, I'll share mine, and then once you find yours, I'll let you share. All right, can you see this one?
Yeah.
So HR General, State of Arizona. Interesting. So you talked about like shaping the jobs. You see a lot of ads where they go up and then like they talk really big about their company and then they get into the job itself. And then maybe they'll talk about some duties and then your qualifications. It's kind of interesting, like you see different companies, like even when you get in here, I don't feel like it gives you everything you need to know still.
Yeah.
So let's look here. So conduct employee relations investigations or inquiries, coach, advise, and support management and appropriate resolution of employee relations issues. This one's more like that, probably sounds like that legal. Here, this is where something you had to decide too is like how do we compensate people, right?
Yep. Like if you're going to have to move from one state clear to another state or something.
Yeah, for sure. You just gotta kind of think about, you know, what benefits are going to attract the top people or attract the people that I want to work for me. Because you might, for like maybe for a vet tech, you might be looking for an entry level one. So, I mean, you do your compensation accordingly, and then probably very similar to what happened with your call service job is you give them raises along the way so that they want to stay. All right. So see this one has they want 3 to 5 years experience, and then here's the benefits that they give you. This one of 10 paid holidays. All right, come on, we're all getting holidays.
Well, there's some companies that don't give you holidays. They still make you work.
Oh man, I wouldn't want to work.
But they pay you. They have to pay you double of what you
Oh,
normally would get paid for having to work the holidays. So,
I guess depending on the holiday, I'd be okay with that.
because like when I was working as the call service representative, there was only certain holidays that we actually got off,
Gotcha.
but they were still having to pay us time and a half for it. Even though they gave us the day off, we still got paid time and a half for that holiday.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
That was nice. Cool. All right. You have one that you got
Well,
now?
let's see here. I guess this one would work.
Just pick any of them.
See if this works. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Because there's that one. Here's this one that has got a bunch of stuff on it, like the responsibilities, the payroll and recruiting employees. And they're even wanting you to have at least 3 to 5 years and a bachelor's preferred.
Well, that's interesting because mine was an HR generalist position too, and they wanted the same amount of years. So,
Plus, this one's also wanting the 3 to 5, but also you got to have the bachelor's degree. And then down under the full-time job, it says required education, bachelor's. The
yeah,
required experience, 3 years.
it's interesting too when you start applying to the jobs. There's kind of a fine balance of applying to jobs that you're not qualified for versus just getting kicked out because sometimes they'll be a little more flexible than they are in their posting, or sometimes they'll just kick you out automatically. They'll ask you that specific question: do you have 3 years experience? And if you don't, then probably this automatically kicks you out. So a lot
Yeah,
of
because I've seen some jobs where they say if you got that degree, they can work with you. Like if you got a bachelor's degree or something, they can work with you as long as you're picking it up pretty fast. They'll work with you on it, but if you're not, then that's another case.
yeah. Well, both Indeed and LinkedIn are spots I like to look for jobs. I like LinkedIn on my phone. It's pretty easy to like when I'm you know out doing something. I can just scroll real quick through different jobs. So
Well, I know LinkedIn here lately has been emailing me different jobs and stuff in my area. So,
oh, nice. And so you can set up
and
this.
I didn't even set it up that way. It just started doing that.
Oh, really? So you can set it
Yeah,
up for Indeed for different job searches. But yeah, I'm trying to think. I know when I go into LinkedIn, it will tell me like, hey, based on your qualifications, these jobs might be of interest to you.
because as long as you keep your link updated with, I guess, your work history and all that, it goes through and finds jobs that you've already done or might be qualified for and sends it to you, and then you can even log into Link and it'll show them there too.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about. Usually when I get depending if I'm not, if it's like a spam email, I just usually go through and delete all my email stuff.
And it even tells me when I've got, like, just earlier today, I had an email from Link saying, or was it today? Or no, it was yesterday. I had some more contacts from Brian that it was suggesting I add.
Oh, cool.
Because
Yeah.
that's, I've got teachers on my link and some administrators for Bryan University and stuff on there too. So,
Yeah, you never know when those relationships can help out, man. Cool. Well, I want to show you one more thing before we wrap up.
all right, let me get out of the screen. Okay, there you go.
All righty. So this was just something I just made up real quick that you guys might be interested to play with. So before you jumped on, William, I was going over like the breakdown of the sort of refresher on the breakdown of the grade. If you guys remember, assignments are worth 50% of your grade, learners are 30%, and yellow dig's 20%. But how does that all break down, and how do you prioritize your time based on all the different commitments you have? You can actually go into this calculator, which I'll share with you guys, and you can play around um, with different possible grades that you can get on assignments. So,
Well, I know you can do that already in the Canvas grade book.
oh, cool. You can put it in your own grades before I put them in?
Yeah,
Oh, nice. I did not know that you
I
could do
can
that.
I
Oh,
can show you if you want.
yeah, yeah, show me. So maybe I made the
Okay.
calculator for nothing.
Well, it's not that hard in Canvas.
Yeah,
All right, I'll let you stop sharing first.
let me see.
Okay. Go to the share screen. All right, can you say it?
Yeah, no, I can.
Yeah, because see, all I got to do is like see here on chapter 7 how
Uh-huh.
it's got the dash.
Yeah.
I can click right there. See, it popped up with the 0. I can automatically put in the 23 and hit enter and go down, and it actually pops it in, and I'd still be at a 92 in the
Oh,
class. Because if you come down to the bottom, you can revert your actual scores back. See.
that is really, really cool. So let's play real quick and just put in grades for this random grades into everything. Let's see what it does.
Okay. Well, there's that one. If I got all these,
Put some of them that like say you skip some of them. Let's do that just to play with this, see what it does.
I'll change some of the grades to where they're not like exactly the same as what if we were getting full credit. That way you can get a better general idea. That should be good. But say how it took it all the way down from where I'm actually at. Took it all the way down to C.
So what you have to do, go scroll up to get all of your grade, like to determine for everything. You can't leave anything blank. So if you want to predict like what your final grade will be, You have to put in something for everything.
Well, I think if you don't put anything in, it automatically counts it as a 0 anyway.
No, no, it doesn't. It doesn't even bring it into the grade because that's what it does on my end.
Okay.
So like if I never put in your guys' grade and you just had one grade of like that was 100,
Yeah.
you would think the whole time that you had 100 in the course.
Ah. Okay, so then.
Well, I'll share my Excel spreadsheet still, but that's really good to know. Thank you for sharing that, William. That you can do that.
Yeah, because I know with some of the McGraw Hills, like when I was in my math class with Joanne, that it would not upgrade or update in Canvas until she would pull the grade or sync it.
Yeah.
And what I would do is I'd go over into the math class and pull the grades from there and put over into the Canvas grade book to where I would know where about my grade was for the actual class.
Yeah, and so that's
why I figured I'd bring this up to you to where you would know that way. Because say now that I've got them all in, then that's what it's saying that
when
I'd have.
you can see, look at what it's. So you did really well in the LearnIts, not so much in the class boards, but it's the see how much the weight of the assignments takes everything down.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, one of the reasons to bring this up is just the prioritization of what you have left, because you can see the assignments will more significantly affect your grade than the LearnIts and the class boards. So that's the final takeaway for everybody is, hey, it's more important that you do well in your assignments, get those done, and then your LearnIts and then your class boards. Even though we want you to do well in everything, in terms of prioritizing your time, everyone's busy and has different commitments. That's what you want to do is assignments, LearnIts, the class boards.
Yeah, because I'm always in here playing around with the grade book in Canvas. So whenever trying to figure out if I do poorly or if I do bad, how I could try to keep it in an A. Because that's what I shoot for in all of my classes is A's.
Yeah.
And then see if I scroll down here, the assignments weighed by groups, it still shows you where we're at on the for that. But then if you want to take those grades that you've typed in back out, all you got to do is hit revert to the actual score and it takes them all out.
Nice.
Well, if cool. I do it now, say it just shot me back to the A that I've got for the class.
Yeah, and then you can see that the one thing it's pulling from right now is the LearnIts, because you can see right there at the total there.
Yep.
Very cool.
Well, so I figured I'd bring that up to you to where if that makes it easier on you than that calculator you made.
Well, I made that just for you guys, so I didn't need it for me.
We've also got it this way, so.
Cool. I'll shoot it out just in case anyone wants to play with it. All right, so let's go wrap this thing up. So looking forward for really the next 3 weeks. Here, let me go back to my PowerPoint real quick. So next week we'll go over, we'll give you some time to brainstorm about assignment 2, and then the week after that assignment 3, and then the week after that's open mic for those that want to do their live presentations. So that's how the next 3 weeks will go, and then the week after that we won't have a live class because it will just be your last week wrapping everything up. But I'll be available for anyone that wants to chat or go over anything to button everything up. That Thursday of that last week is just the last day to complete everything for the course. So
I know this coming, not today, but next Saturday is going to be kind of fun because you got a new class coming in.
So
you should.
I don't on my end.
Because I know normally when one class hits the fourth week, there's another class coming in behind them. So
Yeah. Does another class actually join you in your class? Or is it,
Well, the way it's been is once we hit the 4th week, there's another class finishing their last week of a semester and then joining us. Because in week 3, they would be finishing their last week, and then week 4, there would be another class coming in.
interesting. So yeah, well, I know
For the
that
last 4 weeks.
I know that the
So,
classes start every 4 weeks, but I didn't know that they actually joined you in the class. I thought it was like a separate class.
well, some of the teachers had it to where the yellow digs and all that were set up to where when the newer class came in, who was already there for the first 4 weeks, like what we are now, we would be able to help the new class coming in if we
Wow.
had to. And they could see our yellow digs from the first 4 weeks that we did that might be able to help them out.
That's pretty cool. No, so yeah, I decided just to stick with the one class instead of taking on 2 more classes. Um, that's cool though. All righty, so that's it. Do you have any final thoughts, William, before we wrap this thing up?
No?
Awesome. So I'm going to go in after this. So you'll get your grades on the assignment 1 this week, and then I'm going to update all your learnings and and then Yellow Dig will be updated this coming week after this Sunday. So just a reminder to everybody: look at your point totals and try to max out your point totals moving forward, so you get all the points you can.
Yeah, because from what I'm seeing, it looks like I still need week 6, or not week 6, but chapter 6, and then the one deal graded, so the one assignment. But
Yeah. So I'll get those to you this week, and then once you get that feedback, just let me know if you have any questions, and we'll go from there.
all righty.
All right. Awesome. Well, thanks, William, for joining, and you have a great weekend, and we'll see everyone next week.
Well, I'm going to try to have a great weekend.
Well, enjoy it as much as you can.
Yeah.
All right. Talk to you later.
All right. Later.